I was good too. So as a lot of you guys may know, I go to UCLA, or the University of California, Los Angeles. I'm currently a freshman. Last year, I was in a lot of you guys' shoes. I was a senior in high school, and I had to apply. I just remember I was like, yo, like, what's an essay that'll actually get me into the college that I want? And so now I decided to share my answers, given that, you know, I'm going to UCLA and I got into some other UCs. So yeah, let's get into it. So these are for the UC applications, specifically, or University of California. So the way the UC application worked, you had to choose 4 questions out of like, I think it was like a set of 10 or something like that, 10 personal insight questions. So out of those 10 questions, you choose like the 4 that cater to you the best, if that makes sense. Also something, you're gonna learn a lot about me from these questions. Like, you're gonna learn a lot about me. All right, so the first question. Describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievements? All right, so here's what I wrote. Growing up as an only child with a father who was away at work for long periods, it felt like my mother was all I had. During my junior year of high school, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 gastrointestinal cancer, and she would die just 2 months later. My mother was my entire world. Now I felt like my world had just disappeared. Before passing, my mother told me that her dying wish for me to continue my education. I promised to her I would do so. I began going to all of my teachers individually, asking for any schoolwork I had missed during this time period. I asked the teachers if they could give me an individual instruction at lunch. All of my teachers were willing to do so, and I would spend the majority of my lunches working on classwork in order to improve my grade. I'll go to a library every day of the week after school to study for tests, most days studying in the library from when it would open after school to its closing time 6 hours later. Once I finished studying, I would play basketball in order to relieve stress and get my mind off of the grief. Basketball is my sanctuary. It seemed to be the only thing that would allow me to feel normal. I would play until I physically couldn't anymore, sometimes staying on the basketball court until 3 a.m., then waking up at 7 in order to begin working on more homework. At the end of the year, I was able to maintain a 3.8 GPA. Many teachers advised me not to take the SAT due to the traumatic experience I just had, but I was determined to keep my promise to my mother. I received a score of 1210 despite taking the test just months after her passing. I was able to feel accomplishment and comfort knowing that I had not let my mother down, and I will continue to make sure I make my mother's wish come true. So yeah, as you guys can see from that essay, I hit all the major points in the question. For example, the most significant challenge I had to face during high school was my mother's passing. As a lot of you guys may not know, my mother passed when I was a junior in high school. That's actually what this like necklace means. It says mom and then her passing date for 11/18. So yeah, so that was by far the hardest challenge I've ever had to go through, and probably the hardest challenge that anybody's had to go through is losing a mother. So this question, I chose to talk about that. But if you had something that was like really, really hard, for example, you had something with your family or somebody took advantage of you or something really real that really impacted you, talk about that with this question. Alright, this next question. This one's like happier. Number 2. Every person has a creative side, and it can be expressed in many ways. Problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. For most of my life, my creative side was shown on the basketball court. However, while suffering from a stress fracture in my spine that left me out of playing all sports for 2 years, I had to find another creative outlet. My mother bought me a basketball video game so I could continue playing the sport I love, even if only virtually. I started posting videos of me playing the game with my friends onto YouTube as a hobby. That's actually like this channel. Like, this, when you're on, like, if you check my popular uploads, like, I'm talking about this channel. But yeah, I started posting videos of me playing the game with my friends on YouTube as a hobby. After editing videos for a couple weeks, I realized that through editing, I could create anything I wanted. I began taking video editing courses at the local TV station in order to pursue this newfound interest. And through my newly acquired talents to video edit, I was able to express myself. I began editing videos of myself running, jumping, and even dunking a basketball. This helped me envision my recovery process, kept my spirits high, and allowed me to express myself in a positive way. My YouTube channel began getting recognition, and for the next 2 years of my entry time period, I would earn a total of 50,000 subscribers on the YouTube website, over 6 million total views, and recognition from the National Basketball Association's Playmakers Network. This newfound audience introduced me to the world of business. I was now receiving earnings based off of views, and through this, I was able to learn how businesses receive revenues. My time at YouTube taught me the power of advertising, marketing, and particularly the sports business. This ability to put my thoughts into videos helped me mentally, and is a skill I will continue to use to benefit myself and others. Whenever I feel the need to express myself, I can edit a video about whatever I'm feeling and put my thoughts into said video. So yeah, that's my second question. Again, if you use that, like, I know a lot of people didn't start a YouTube channel in high school that, like, I guess received the accolades I did, but just think of when you're trying to be expressive, what do you do? Like, just think about that. And if that thing that you're trying to be expressive is like, you would think is interesting, then write about that. Yeah. Think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. The academic subject that inspires me the most is business. Throughout my life, I've always tried to seek out things that I'm interested in. I started a YouTube channel in which I edited basketball highlights to pass the time. As I continued the channel, I was introduced to how the business side of promotion works. I started earning revenue through advertisements and sponsorships, and quickly found enjoyment in researching contracts and having business conversations with sponsors. I decided to explore my interests further. I enrolled in 2 courses at the Community Media Center in Marin. That was like my local community TV station, to learn about how organizations use video production and studios to improve and advertise their business. After completing that program, I wanted to learn more about business than just video editing. So I attended the Accounting Career Awareness Program at UC Berkeley in the summer going into my junior year. This introduced me to finance and economics and business. I was interested in the sports business specifically, so I participated in the Sports Industry Academy at UC Santa Barbara. Inspired by the guest speakers and workshops, I began researching positions in business on my own time. I watched videos on businesses, practices, and skills, and followed different business professionals on LinkedIn. I started creating contracts and performing potential client negotiations. I got more invested in practicing the skills I would learn from these organizations and research on sponsorship opportunities about my YouTube channel. After all this research and experience, I realized how interested I am in the business field. I always look for opportunities to learn more about things I'm interested in, and I always want to pursue my curiosity. So yeah, the advice I would give is pick the academic subject that's like you really genuinely enjoy. For me, business isn't a class that's just like taught in high school. Like I wasn't just taught business. I had economics courses, or I had the economic course my senior year, but business wasn't just like a class. But I know that business is a major and business is a class at the college level. So just know that you can also say classes such as ones in the college level. But just make sure that what you're saying, like you genuinely are interested in that. Like for example, right now I'm at UCLA and I'm studying economics. So I genuinely am interested in business. Don't write about the subject that you're just kind of interested in, or it seems kind of cool. Write about something you're genuinely really interested in, if that makes sense. Yeah. So 4th question. What have you done to make your school or community a better place? So my community is not just my surroundings, but it's also where I feel a connection. Half of my family lives in Nigeria, so I've always felt a connection to the country. I feel that Nigeria is a part of me, and I've always wanted to help out my people as much as I could. I'm half Nigerian. My grandmother was the father of a school called Open Door Special Education Center, a school for kids with learning disabilities located in Jos, Nigeria. As I began to make money, I had to think about what to do with it. It wasn't a difficult jump to come to the conclusion of helping others. I'm in a comfortable financial position, and I've never had to worry about having food or paying rent. However, I'm aware that there are many families back home in Nigeria that do not have my luxury. Knowing this, I decided to use the money I earned from my YouTube channel to help families in need. I decided to pay for the remainder of 2 of the kids' elementary school's tuition. I also donated over $5,000 of my earnings to sponsor elementary school classrooms in the United States through the organization Donors Choose. Throughout every accomplishment in high school, this is the decision I'm most proud of. I've always wanted to make a difference in people's lives, especially people who have fewer means than I, and I was blessed with the opportunity to do so. The parents of one of the kids I sponsored were just weeks away from having to withdraw their daughter from the school for financial reasons. My donation saved them from having to do so. The fact that I can have this much of an influence on people in my community is something that I always hold in the back of my mind as motivation to continue to make a difference. I believe that there is no point in being successful if I cannot help others reach success. So yes, like I actually did that from the money that I made from YouTube. I used it to sponsor 2 of the kids from my grandmother's school in Nigeria's entire elementary school tuitions. It ended up making, a really big difference on their lives. That was something that I'm still to this day that's probably the proudest thing I've done in my life. I was really happy I was able to do that. And then in addition to sponsoring those kids in elementary school through the organization Donors Choose, I'll leave a link in the description. I really recommend it. Me and my mother, before she passed, we would look at schools in like underprivileged and underfunded areas and then like pay for their school supplies or like some necessary equipment that they needed, or just help the school out in whatever they needed, and specifically helping teachers out who by other means would not be able to do so. After I sponsored one of those classes, those kids actually sent me like all these drawings that they made and like to thank me and my mother. I have the whole video on Instagram if you guys want to go check it out. So that was something I was really proud of. I know that most kids don't have the means to make the impact I fortunately was able to do because of YouTube. And just think about things that you have done in your life or you can do that you genuinely want to do that have actually like made an impact on somebody's life and somebody who you feel is connected to your community. Like for example, although I don't live in Nigeria, at this time I lived in the Bay Area of California, but my community, I still feel attachment to my community in Nigeria. So just think about things that you genuinely have done that have made an impact in somebody in your community's life. That could be volunteering, that could be donating, that could be just being a role model, just stuff like that. And lastly, the additional question, I recommend answering this if you actually have unusual circumstances. If there's anything else he wants to know about you, now's your chance. But remember, you should use this space only if you want to describe anything that you have not had the opportunity to include elsewhere in the application. This shouldn't be an essay, but rather a place to explain unusual personal and family circumstances, or anything that may be unclear in other parts of the application. This should not be used to answer an additional personal insight question. Alright, so here's where I wrote. My high school experience was one littered with adversity. Every single year of my 4 years of high school had at least one catastrophic event. Starting off, as a freshman who loved basketball more than anything, I suffered a stress fracture in my spine during the tryout for the freshman basketball team. The injury was so severe that I was in the back brace for 2 years, being forced to sit out of the sport I loved to being robbed of both the freshman and sophomore year of basketball experience. On the day of the injury, my doctors told me that I would never be able to play organized basketball again, as well as will have scoliosis for the rest of my life. Yes, that actually happened. I was in the back brace for 2 years. I'll put a picture up if I can find one. But yeah, like, I was literally walking around in the back brace, like in school for 2 years. You wouldn't know it though. Like, people in my high school still don't even know I had that injury because I would always put a hoodie over it. So like, you would never actually be able to see the actual brace. But yeah, I had to walk around in that thing for 2 years. It was hard because, like, you know, I was 14 years old and the doctors told me, they were like, yo, I don't think you're gonna be able to play organized basketball again. You're gonna have scoliosis the rest of your life. So yeah, that was hard. That was extremely hard. But I was able to get through it though, and I made a miraculous recovery. And I was actually able to play my junior year of basketball. I ended up getting injured again my senior year, which is a whole nother story. At least I was able to play my junior year. Alright, now back into the essay. After finally recovering from this injury, after being out of all athletics for 2 years, my mother became very sick. My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 gastrointestinal cancer and would die just 2 months later. Due to the grief caused by her passing, my counselors and teachers encouraged me not to take AP classes or a 3rd year of language in order to allow myself a chance to grieve properly. I took their advice and did not take any AP classes my junior year. Directly after her passing, my grandfather's heart was broken, and he would pass away just a couple months later. Sequentially, a couple weeks after my grandfather's passing, my aunt was diagnosed with malaria, and she would die just 1 week later. All these terrible events happened while I was studying for my SAT, and due to the fact that I was grieving 3 key family members' deaths while taking the test, I was not in the correct headspace to receive the best score possible. I feel that my grades are a reflection of who I am more so than my test scores are. As you guys can see, I was kind of explaining my SAT score. My SAT score was a 1210. It was like a 1210 SAT. Which is not like a bad score. I think it's like 80th percentile. Like when I took it, it was 80th percentile. But for like the caliber of like UCLA, their average SAT is like in the 1400s. So based off of grades alone, you wouldn't even think I was going to be like considered to get into this school. That's why I answered this additional question, because it showed my unusual circumstance. I truly believe that if I didn't have to go through all the trauma that I had to go through, I would have had a 1400 or maybe even a 1500 SAT. However, because of my circumstances, I was only able to get a 1210 and then a 3.8. Because given the amount of grief I was in and the amount of funerals I had to go to and the amount of time that was taken up, like, I'm proud of that. And UCLA was able to see past just the relatively low SAT and was like, yo, like this kid can make it. I'm extremely thankful for UCLA for giving me this opportunity. I am now in UCLA. I'm in my first quarter and I'm doing pretty well. So I'm gonna prove that they made the right decision with me. So yeah, those are my essays. I hope you guys are inspired, because if I was able to do this, if I was able to make it, then you guys are able to make it. And I truly believe in every single person who's watching this video, because you guys are doing exactly what I used to do. I used to watch these videos too. If you want to keep on following me, follow my Instagram. That's where I'm posting like everything to do with my life here at UCLA. Then subscribe to the channel. I'm about to be posting a lot of vlogs and my experiences and story times and all of that about my time here at UCLA. You're not going to want to miss it. So, out of here.